In a quiet corner of a dusty town, where dreams often faded before they even began, there lived a 16-year-old girl named Maya. While most kids her age were busy scrolling through social media or dreaming of prom dresses and weekend hangouts, Maya had a different world, one filled with oil stains, broken engines, and the deep, soulful growl of cars coming back to life. Her world wasn't glamorous, it wasn't easy, it definitely wasn't normal. Maya grew up in her grandfather's tiny garage, a place that had once been alive with the energy of her father, a brilliant mechanic who could fix anything with wheels. People used to travel from neighboring towns just to have him look at their cars. But 2 years ago, everything changed. Maya's father was killed in a tragic highway crash while test driving a modified vehicle. From that moment on, their family's world fell into silence and shadows. Her mother, once cheerful and loving, now worked double shifts at the local diner, rarely home before midnight. Her grandfather, though still sharp with his tools, had grown older and slower, and the garage was slowly slipping into obscurity. Business dropped. Customers vanished. The sound of laughter and tools clinking together was replaced by long stretches of silence and the occasional buzz of flies around old engine parts. But Maya, she refused to let the silence win. From the age of 12, she had watched her father work. By 14, she was handing him tools. By 15, she was opening engines on her own. By 16, Maya had become something most people wouldn't believe. A natural-born mechanic. Still, nobody took her seriously. Whenever a customer came in and saw her behind the workbench, they asked to speak with someone who knew what they were doing. Some laughed, others just stared. One man even scoffed and said, "Girls belong in kitchens, not under hoods." But Maya never fought back with anger. She let her work speak. And then came the day that would change everything. It was a gloomy Thursday afternoon. Dark clouds hung low in the sky, and the wind carried a quiet heaviness. Maya was adjusting the brakes on an old sedan when she heard the rumble. Deep, powerful, unmistakable. She looked up and saw a black flatbed truck slowly pulling into the lot. On the back of it sat a car that didn't belong in this part of town. A Lamborghini Aventador, damaged but still magnificent. Its body scratched and dented, its tires flat, its once bright presence dimmed by obvious mechanical failure. Maya's eyes widened. The door of the truck opened, and out stepped a tall man in a suit and sunglasses. He looked around with an expression that said he didn't expect much. "Who's in charge here?" he asked. Maya's grandfather stepped forward. "That would be me." The man introduced himself as Mr. Carter, a wealthy car collector who had been searching for anyone, who could fix his supercar. "I've taken this to 5 different garages. One in the city even charged me $10,000 just to diagnose the problem, and they still failed," he said bitterly. "It's got a complicated engine issue, plus electrical damage to the ECU. Everyone says it's unfixable." Maya's grandfather scratched his head. "Sir, I'm not sure we're equipped to handle something like that." But before he could finish, Maya stepped out from behind the car she was working on. Her heart was pounding, but her voice was calm. "I'll do it," she said. Carter turned, confused. "You?" She nodded. "Give me 3 days. If I can't fix it, you can tow it somewhere else." Her grandfather's eyes widened. "Maya, wait. This is not a regular car. This is $1 million machine." But Maya didn't flinch. She looked Carter dead in the eye. "I want the chance, just one." He studied her face, clearly unsure whether to laugh or admire her courage. Finally, he gave a small nod. 3 days, he said, "but I don't want any surprises." As the car was rolled into the garage, the mechanics from nearby shops heard the news and came to gawk. Some whispered insults. Others simply waited, eager to watch her fail. But Maya didn't care. She got to work the moment the door closed behind her. She poured herself into every wire, every fuse, every inch of that broken Lamborghini. At night she studied the Aventador's complex systems, downloading Italian manuals, watching YouTube videos in foreign languages, and drawing diagrams until her fingers cramped. Her hands were blackened with grease. Her hair was always tied back, her nails chipped, her eyes tired. But her spirit burned brighter than ever. By the end of day one, she had found 2 electrical faults no one had noticed. By the end of day 2, she had begun rewriting part of the ECU's damaged programming using open-source code. On the 3rd night, with rain tapping gently on the roof of the garage, she took a deep breath and turned the key in the ignition. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the car coughed. And then it roared, loud, proud, alive. The noise echoed like thunder across the town, and the people who had doubted her stood speechless. The garage fell silent after the engine roared to life. The sound of the Lamborghini Aventador's V12 was deep, powerful, and unmistakably alive. No misfires, no stutters, no warning lights. Maya's fingers were trembling as she gripped the steering wheel. She couldn't believe it herself at first. After 3 days of barely sleeping, of poring over every detail of the car's complex wiring, of doubting herself every hour, it had actually worked. Her grandfather stood frozen near the workbench, a wrench slipping from his hand and clattering to the floor. For a long moment, he just stared at the car, then at Maya, then back at the car. Mr. Carter approached the vehicle slowly, as if it were a wild animal that had somehow come back to life. He opened the driver's side door, sat down, and turned the engine off, then started it again. Smooth, perfect, like the day it rolled off the factory floor. He stepped out of the car, walked over to Maya, and looked at her with a mixture of disbelief and admiration. "What did you do?" he asked, almost whispering. Maya took a breath, her voice steady, despite the lump in her throat. The ECU was corrupted. It was triggering a false ignition error and overriding the fuel injectors. I created a bypass using a microcontroller and custom-coded a temporary fix, then reprogrammed the system using the original specs I found online and fixed the wiring harness that was causing the short. There was a long silence. Mr. Carter blinked. "You're 16. I know. And you're not even certified?" Maya gave a small smile. "Nope." Suddenly, from behind them, one of the older mechanics, who had come just to watch her fail, let out a low whistle. "I've never seen anything like that," he muttered. "She just made a fool out of every certified technician in the city." Mr. Carter looked at Maya again, this time with full respect. "Let's take it for a spin." They pulled the garage door open, and as the Aventador rolled out onto the street, it sounded like a beast unleashed. People came out of shops, drivers slowed their cars, kids on bikes stopped to stare. Maya sat in the passenger seat, her heart pounding with every gear shift. Mr. Carter drove like someone reunited with a lost love. The car responded beautifully, smooth on the corners, fast on the straights, and clean in the sound. When they returned 15 minutes later, he parked it gently and stepped out. "You're not just a mechanic," he said. "You're a miracle." Later that day, Maya was still wiping down her tools when her grandfather came to her, pride glowing in his tired eyes. "I've been working on cars for 40 years, he said softly, "and I've never seen anything like what you did today." She looked up at him. "You taught me everything." He smiled. "No, you taught yourself what no one else could." By the next morning, everything changed. Someone had filmed the moment the Aventador came back to life. The video went viral overnight, shared by car enthusiasts, engineers, and influencers. The caption read, "A 16-year-old girl fixed what 5 shops couldn't and made it look easy." TV stations called. Car magazines wanted interviews. Major engineering companies sent emails offering her scholarships and internships. Even her school, the same place where no one had believed in her, invited her to give a talk about resilience, and innovation. But the biggest surprise came 3 days later. A letter arrived. It had a golden stamp. The return address, Sant'Agata Bolognese, Italy, Lamborghini headquarters. Maya opened it slowly, her hands shaking. Inside was a handwritten letter. It read, "We heard about your extraordinary repair of the Aventador. We are deeply impressed not only by your technical skill, but by your passion, courage, and perseverance. Lamborghini would be honored to invite you to our factory in Italy and offer you a personal mentorship with our head engineers." Her breath caught in her chest. Her grandfather read the letter over her shoulder, his eyes moist with emotion. "You did it, Maya," he whispered. "You really did it." Maya stood there, holding the letter like it was the key to a new world. And maybe it was. In a small town where no one believed in her, in a garage that had once echoed with her father's laughter, in a world where people doubted her every move, Maya had proved something bigger than horsepower or engines. She had proved that belief in yourself, in your passion, in your purpose, could fix even the most broken things. And now, the girl who once fixed cars in silence would go on to change the world, one engine, one dream at a time.